Why don't pros play other things? To be honest, like, this is a longer discussion, okay? But I think, so some people think that that the game is becoming less figured out. I don't know how to say it in words, so forgive my English sometimes because I'm very bad at describing words. But I actually think the opposite. I think the game has gotten to the point where it's all figured out. I think the game is almost solved, to be honest. The variables have gone down so much in the last few years that space for creativity has dropped, okay? You think back to old League of Legends, the game was so much different. Like, even in recent times, like, the variables have gone down so much, right? The game right now, the formula is so easy. Like, pros have been around for so long. I'm not talking specifically about draft. I'll get to that in a sec. But how to play the map, what to play for and when to play for it is becoming like fundamentals right now. Win conditions just feel so easy. You know, back in the days, you could play like Kha'Zix mid, you could play like Kha'Zix jungle, you could play Rengar, because there's so many variables in the game for you to get fed, or you to capitalize on people's mistakes. But now, making mistakes just feels impossible. You know, you take a bad trade, maybe you'll get dove. You know? But right now, it's just scaling, dragon fights, 8-minute heralds, shifts from mid to top, how to play macro. Like, the macro is just figured out, I feel like. And everything's all about min-maxing, rather than punishing mistakes. So that's why I think the randomness of the game has become so easy to control. The champion diversity is just becoming minimal, you know? That's what I think. I haven't really explored the thought a lot, but it's just something I've kind of debated with myself. Like, is the game just getting... I feel like the game's just getting way too figured out, or stale, or the ways to play the game are so like, one-dimensional. You know, you think back to old metas, you could play split push. You know, split push actually had a lot of pressure. Now you can't really split push because you're gonna have to go into a fight. And what's the strongest in team fights? Well, poke comps can work, and team fight comps front to back can work. And you can maybe play assassins here or there, but they have to be recently released assassins like Akali and Sylas, who actually have strong mid games. You know. So I don't know. I feel like the game is getting more and more figured out, and right now it's gone to the point where the game is just... The only thing, and that's the thing, the only thing teams can improve on, I think, when you're at the highest level of League of Legends, is being better at meta champs and finding counters to the meta champs. So instead of looking at themselves in the mirror, they're looking one step ahead of themselves. But that step ahead of themselves, no one else is doing. And it's like an advantage to have it. How do I phrase this? People have been looking for so long for responses and answers, but no one's really found anything. Right? Like, the Shy is a good example. He's trying Alistar top into Jax, because Jax is one of the strongest blind picks. Has it worked? No. Nothing really worked very well. People have tried to find answers to Azir. The only real answer they've kind of found is like Sylas, not Sylas, Akali, maybe. People have tried to find answers to the Heimerdinger lanes. And they've come to the conclusion that marksman AD carry supports are like the answer. But you have to understand that there's hundreds of pro players around the world, scrimming hundreds of games a week. And they've all come to the same conclusion of this is how the game should be played. And in all of those separate environments, and with all of them coming to that conclusion, I feel like the game is just so figured out that there's no room for innovation. My opinion. And you can say pro players are stubborn and they don't want to try new things, and I would agree with you, for sure. But I would agree with you in scenarios. If there's like a champion that's blind picked, and a champion can be really good in that scenario, but they don't pick it and they go back to comfort, that's when I would agree with you with pro players are lazy. But would I agree that pro players are lazy in trying to find ways to play the game differently? No. I think teams do try to push the norm. But more as a team rather than individuals, you know? But yeah, I think everything's quite stale, and the game's being figured out quite easily, and there needs to be big changes. Well, Brutal.
it up.